everybody, and welcome back to our 77th podcast episode. It is your hosts, Steffi, one further,
and Julia,
all the way
there,
over there.
other side.
and together we're derps'n'burps, the podcast. And today, maybe if you are watching the video version of the podcast, that is, by the way, available on Spotify and on YouTube nowadays, we have a guest today, which is our friend Druella. Hi, Drew.
Hi.
Hello.
And we're going to have a really special episode today for the people that are maybe only listening to the podcast or are not really part of my community on stream. You probably won't know her yet. Drew is a pretty big part of my community, I would say, for multiple years. I don't even know. Do you know for how many years you're already in the stream?
I think I'm a follower since 2015, actually.
Jesus Christ. Because
Damn.
the first recollection that I have of you, I think, was when you were playing with Mullen in a team and we played against each other. It was like the first memory I think I have of you.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. I remember we played train.
Exactly, and I got fucking smashed by you. You freaking destroyed me. I remember it was a hard day for me. So yeah, anyway, Drew is a really big part of our community, and we always have really fun, open, and really brutally honest conversations on stream about everything from gaming up to sexual stuff, up to beauty procedures, everything that you can imagine. I think Drew is the only person that I know that's probably more brutally honest when it comes to topics like this than me.
Always.
Yeah, no filter at all. Drew is also a part of the LGBTQ plus community. So we were also thinking about funny titles today, right? And I came up with the title. I'm not sure if we're going to use this one, but we called it "A Bi, a Straight, and a Trans Woman Walk into a Bar." So we're going to see if we're going to use this title or not. So in case you don't know, Steffi is bi, I'm straight, and Drew is our beautiful trans woman. And as I already said, she's a really open and brutally honest person. So we're gonna, beyond a lot of other things, we're also gonna talk about the whole transgender topic and ask her a few questions that might not be as commonly asked or discussed openly. Maybe, I don't know, we're gonna see. And I also, you know what, I'm gonna just ask you that straight now, because that I think could be a cool thing if we ever record a second episode, right?
Yes.
What we could do, if you would be up for that, we could do something like because we have like a anonymous question box where people can submit questions without seeing who leaves those, right? I know that a lot of people are maybe afraid to ask certain questions about the
Sure,
topic.
we can yeah. I know where you're going from.
Yeah. So maybe if Drew is up for it, you guys could leave if you have any questions regarding Drew, or the whole transgender topic, LGBTQ plus. If you have any questions, you can leave them in our anonymous question box that is in our link tree. That we maybe do a second episode if some questions have not been answered, and we can answer together some edgy questions in the second part.
Sure.
But before we jump way too far ahead, right? So let's start a little bit about you, Drew. Tell us a little bit, who are you, where you're coming from, what do you do for work, maybe how did you get into gaming, that kind of stuff. Tell us a little bit.
I'm 30 years old. I am from Germany, born and raised here, and I am a civil servant. I do how do you say that? I work with the sex workers, and they get their work permission from me. It works a little bit like that. If you wanna, in my city, if you come here to be a sex worker, you have like two official ways to go through. You have to go to one department. I never know the English term for it.
You can say it in German.
Ordnungsamt.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
don't
you
really
go
know if there's
there.
an English word for that.
I don't know too. I think there is, but no clue. So basically, and I work at the public health department, right? And you go to the Ordnungsamt. Maybe someone knows what the term is.
I'm checking right now. Regulatory office.
Oh, regulatory office.
Apparently.
Basically, you go there first, and then they send you to the public health department to get a house check done, and then you end up with me. And where we talk about those sex workers, and like they have to check in with me every 3 months if they last that long, because usually sex workers who work in brothels and stuff are non-German, they tend to go where the money is.
Okay.
So they just go from city to city and see where the money is, basically. And they have to come to me to get their work permit. So I give them a little blue card with their name on it. They can choose their name. And funny story, or
Oh,
it's a
okay.
fun fact, most of them are called Maria. Like
Oh, no,
Maria.
really?
either Maria
Oh.
Magdalena or the mother of Jesus. Who knows? Who
Mhm.
knows? But they want to be called Maria most of the time.
It's my second first name. I like
Amazing.
it. Maria
Really?
is a nice name. Yeah, Julia Maria Kreuzer is my name. Fun
Cute.
fact, my dad is also called Maria. Uwe Maria Kreuzer.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Everybody
That's so
in
interesting.
the side of my dad has the second name Maria. If I ever have a child, I'm going to do the same.
Yep.
Gonna
Keep it
fit
up.
the Maria in there as well. And I'm gonna keep it in mind that they're gonna become a sex worker at one point, potentially. With that
Well,
name. Beautiful name.
they are not usually called Maria, but it's their work name, their sex worker name mostly. So that's what I do for a living.
So do they have to fully register though with their passport and everything as well? Yeah, right? Or not
they
really?
have to register, yes. If
Mm.
you want to work officially as a sex worker, you have to register, yes.
But not most people probably don't register fully, right? I guess. Like I'm just thinking, like if I would be like a
It's funny
sex
because
worker.
we have such a big red light district here where I
Yeah.
live in my town, which is one of the biggest in Germany actually.
Mhm.
Would people nobody like it's a fun fact that people don't know because they always think about like crazy big cities like
Hamburg.
Cologne for something, yeah, or
Cologne,
Hamburg.
Hamburg, yeah.
But we actually do have a big red light district too, and we have one big house with like 200 beds available, where you can like those sex workers rent the room.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to ask, if it's the same here, yeah, in Austria,
It's a
Yeah,
Laufhaus?
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what
in
it's
Love
called?
House,
Laufhaus?
correct.
Yeah, okay.
where you
And
basically rent like
For half an hour, an hour,
You're
you rent out the
self-employed.
house. Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
you're
And
mostly self-employed, not all the ways,
yeah,
because and the
Do you
like
have
you
to
can
write invoices per customer then, technically?
technically, but I don't think those
Yeah,
I don't know that
practically.
much about them, but if they do their taxes, I don't know.
That actually think about it. Imagine you have to like write an invoice for each.
yeah.
That's interesting. So how do you like imagine you have to put on there? Oh yeah, this was just oral. With here we had some fetish
60-minute
work.
blowjob BDSM session.
A
3
60-minute
minute
blowjob.
3
That's
minute blowjob,
No,
2 minute
blowjob
foot
BDSM
massage.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's actually hilarious. Imagine you work like at the tax department of your city and you have like an extra sex worker that's like really like precise with the work and takes
Oh,
like the
I guess
invoicing like really serious. That could be fun.
I guess some people do that actually. I
That
think
would be
some
actually
people have
hilarious.
to.
You should like ask around and see if they can
Maybe I
send you
do that
some of
if they
the
if they do
invoices.
like well, I guess because we not only have like this love house, we all like our red light district has like I think 16 brothels too.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a little bit. Have you ever been to Hamburg? The
Yeah.
red light district in the city I love used to be like that. It's not like where you can, or in like
Reeperbahn, right?
Amsterdam where yeah, or the red light district in Amsterdam was very similar to it because like you could see the women in the windows.
In the windows, yeah.
It's forbidden nowadays because people got mad and like there was a legal fight happening, so it's not allowed anymore. But it used to be like this here too.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
actually interesting.
yeah, and not many people know about this. So
I didn't know either. To be honest, like if you talk about like really like big cities in Germany that have like big red light districts, as you said, like the first thing you think about is Hamburg with the Reeperbahn, right? And
yeah, and I
Cologne
think
with the Pascha and everything.
isn't I never been to Reeperbahn actually before,
Mhm.
but aren't women not allowed in there? I think it was male only for quite a while. If I'm not mistaken,
It
maybe I
be
spit a false
actually.
fact now, but I think that for quite some time women were not allowed in there.
It might be like I was there. I don't even know when it was. Like it was quite some years ago, and I didn't like walk through the whole the whole street, but like I
Mm.
walked past front of it, so I couldn't even say. But I know that there was like the big Türsteher, like what is it called, like the security dudes.
Securities,
They were
yeah.
standing like everywhere, so it could
Bodyguards.
be, but I didn't
Yeah,
really. Actually, it's a good question. I mean, I guess that in 2023 you can't do that anymore because that would, you know,
exactly.
I
Like
don't think you
maybe
could do
some
that. We need some
women want to have fun.
inclusivity. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What if
Exactly.
I want to rent or have some services from
That's a good business idea.
do you think there's like is there something like female catered to brothels as well?
No.
Not
I
really,
think
right?
they're at least the brothels I know are like fully catered for men.
For men, right?
I do think like if you would go there as a woman, I think you would
Be
get
fine as
serviced
well.
too, but I think everything is catered for
For
males.
men, yeah, I guess so.
Mm.
I'm thinking about it. I'm actually thinking how it works. Like let's say I would want to have some sexual services done by a man tonight. I don't even know if I would be able
Where
to
to
get that
start?
somewhere. Yeah. Probably just go on Tinder. Get it for free.
What's it called? Cowboys? Is it cowboy?
Do we have that?
Mm.
Or I'd go to Japan and buy the boyfriend experience kind of thing, you know? That
Just
would
get
be
a
cool.
boyfriend pillow.
Cowboys. Also, we had a pasha as well in Graz.
Really?
It is not there anymore because they completely ripped off the house and they're building new things there. It's near the
Oh.
train station, the big main train station in
Mm.
Graz.
I didn't
I don't
know
think
that
you ever
one.
saw it. Nah, I don't think you've seen that.
Do you
But it's
remember
been
the
there
one in
for
Feldkirchen where they shot into with the rocket launcher?
what? No. The fuck?
Sorry, I'm laughing. It's really fucked up. But we had like in a really small village, like it's the one where my
Mhm.
ex-boyfriend lived, Feldkirchen.
Yeah.
Like it's a real
It's
cuff, like it's a really
yeah,
small
at
village
a
kind
drug
of thing.
hole.
And they have a brothel. And if I remember correctly, the people there were so upset that they have like a very well running brothel there that some crazy dude shot with the rocket launcher into
The
the
Oh
brothel.
my
fuck?
god, what the fuck?
I
That's crazy.
I need to Google, but I'm pretty sure I saw that in the newspaper back then. It's been a long time, but I'm gonna do
That's
the
wild.
research, and if I find
Mhm.
the newspaper article, I'm gonna put it in the.
That's so interesting. I know also like what is really popular these days in like brothels is like a sex flat rate. So basically you pay
Oh, it's
X
like a
amount of money.
subscription.
Yeah, something like that. Basically you pay X amount of money and you can choose
Mhm.
as many girls as you want.
Oh, imagine you have like, let's say you pay like a 500 euro flat fee per month, and you can go into the brothel and get the services as many times as you
Yeah,
want.
I know one brother that does you can stay for up to 4 hours and pay 88 euros and you can have sex with as much girls as you want to.
Cool.
That
Yeah.
88 euro, damn. Or
That's
okay.
that's kind of cheap, but yeah.
Yeah, I just
Mhm.
wanted to say 88 euros for 4 hours.
Mm,
I mean, then
that's
again, they probably like count on the men not being
Being able to last that long even.
to use that
Paid
as
4 hours,
but
stayed one.
and you cannot say that like going to a brother is like a thing which like older men would do. It got so young, like so many young men are going to have services there. Like it's crazy to me. Like, but then again, I think in a times like this, it gets harder to meet some people. You know, like to meet people to have sex. So you only have the internet for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing as well, like obviously, like most people go there to actually have sexual services, but from what I've seen, like I'm just personally really interested in like a whole variety of topics. So I often watch like interviews with people that are sex workers or whatever, and there's a lot of
Oh,
people that also say that a lot of their customers actually just want to have some kind of social interaction with people. So obviously
I
they have
guess.
the sexual services as
Part,
well, but
yeah.
some people also just come there to have some kind of human connection as well, and just want to talk first for half an hour before they go to town or whatever afterwards, or
Something like this, yeah.
just
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
be
yeah.
helped and get some back scratches, you know?
Yeah, some cuddles, like get on
Exactly.
that latex bed and just cuddle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Spread the oil and let's
Yeah,
do
and
some
rub it,
oil
yeah.
angels in
But
there.
but it's actually funny that we also do in my city. We do have a um how do you call it, a not public red light district, like the
Mhm.
Straßenstrich.
Oh yeah, we
Mm.
have that too at the Bahnhof.
Where Yeah, but we have a lot of male prostitutes there,
Really?
which is actually
Okay.
really interesting. Yeah, we do have a lot of male prostitutes here. I live.
I don't really know. Like I just like I know that's like a fucked up thing to say, but we were young and weird. I remember
Mm.
when I had like my first driver's license with our like motorcycle kind of thing, right?
You
But
went there to see
yeah,
who's
it just
standing
to
at the
see who's
signs.
standing at the side. Yeah, exactly. Like obviously like you're
But
young, you're a teenager, you're kind of interested, and I
Mm.
remember we would just drive through there and see like who would stand out at the roads. And I think from what I remember, I mean again that was like, I'm like 33 now. That was when I was 16, so long time ago, decades ago, some people may
The
say.
decades ago.
Like I think I only saw women standing there back then, but I haven't
it's
been there in
also
like forever.
I am pretty sure that this is not allowed in Austria anymore.
I
Like
think I
I
was
nowadays,
never. Mm-mm.
To
I
be
just.
with
on the streets.
Mm-mm.
mm,
Don't think you're allowed
Yeah,
to
I
know.
don't think it's allowed here too. I'm not sure actually because you cannot get an official permit for it, as far as I know. Because I
yeah,
only have like people that work in brothels or that work like self-employed in like these love houses,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't get. I actually had I had a male prostitute once in front
Mm-hmm.
of me that funnily enough he outed himself as a trans person in front of me.
Ah,
That
okay.
mm,
was very interesting.
Okay, so he was not like living as a woman yet.
No, he was not. He was not. Because well, I think that's a huge part too.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically or especially in the male prostitute community, I would say
Mm-hmm.
it's
mm,
like gay for pay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm.
mm,
True, true.
So like not
yeah,
everyone is like homosexual
Yeah.
or like bisexual. There are a
yeah.
lot of male
They do it for the
prostitute.
money.
Exactly, they're straight.
Mm,
They like maybe even have a wife and children, but they do it for the money because
yeah,
that is where the money is.
Yeah.
mm,
That's actually super interesting. So, but I think that's like a good topic also to maybe like fall a little bit
Transition.
in the transitioning topic. So if you want to, obviously, like we talked about it before with Drew already, that if there's anything that she feels uncomfortable or if there's something, again, if I phrase something wrong or whatever, please call me out at it and tell me
just
that I
scream
should
at
phrase
us.
something. Yeah, exactly. Please
Honestly.
educate us. But if you want, would you want to talk with us a little bit about your whole journey? Like, when did you realize that you were a trans woman, that you wanted to indeed transition? How did your
Sure.
transition look like? How was your journey?
Well, I told you guys before I was living in Bavaria for quite a while. And then you could say it was a little bit like a boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this guy. I was 12 back then, and there was this guy who was. I think it was the first time I ever saw an openly gay boy,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Mm-hmm.
like before that I only came in touch with it for like elder people. Like I knew that a friend of mine had an uncle that was gay back then, but I never
Mm-hmm.
knew someone that was around my age that was openly gay.
Yeah.
So and I got closer with him. Like we ended up. That was my first time. I mean, not my first time as having sex, but like my first time getting intimate with somebody that I found very attractive. So back then I knew that I was a boy that liked males, but I wasn't very sure about me liking them as a boy because I was always very different. My first toy I can imagine was like a Barbie doll as Rapunzel.
Oh, cute.
That was the first toy I remember like playing a lot with.
Yeah.
And growing up having three brothers that were very, very, very heterosexual, I would say, like playing
Masculine, yeah.
football. Yeah, and I was the odd one out that loved to dance, that never understood why I cannot wear the same clothes as the girls, you know?
Mm.
Like I always wanted to have like nice shiny shoes, but
Mm.
I was never allowed to have them. And I yeah, so back then when I was 12 and I came back home when I was 13, I decided, okay, you like boys, but not as a boy yourself. I started growing my hair. I went to buy clothes in a more feminine way, like not fully female yet, but like
Mhm.
I started to wear like skinny jeans. Back then it was very popular to wear
Yeah,
skinny jeans.
yeah,
But
Mm-hmm.
like and like having my and wearing more female clothes, like lace stuff, like at the top, and that's where I never had a coming out as a coming out. Like I never talked about it with my family because it was a they transitioned with me over the years, you
yeah.
know. Like
Mm-hmm.
they always knew I was different, and they always like yeah, grew with me into the female person I am today.
Oh, that's beautiful. So,
Mm.
so were your parents ever like? So it sounds like they were supportive, or not? Then again, you said you were not allowed to have shiny shoes. So were they like
They
obviously
were
when
Yeah.
you have a
supportive.
yeah.
They were really supportive, especially my mom. Like my dad left when I was 3 years
Mhm.
old, and my mom grew us up alone as a single a single raising mother, however
Mhm.
you call it.
Single
Mm-hmm.
mom,
And
yeah.
she was always very like I was always allowed to go to a dance company and dance. She would buy me the stuff I wanted for like toys, like Barbie dolls and shit. But I wasn't really allowed to like wear those cool shiny ballerinas or something, you know, the other
Mm,
girls were. I wasn't like because I feel like she was more to protect me.
yeah.
Like it was her of being a mom and trying to protect me from the outside world than like actually forbidding me to wear those kind of
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
Mm. That must
that
be.
was I think
Yes, you said like that must be like a hard thing for both sides, you know, like obviously you want to be your authentic self and your mom obviously wants to support that, but at the same time wants to shield you off because she knows that maybe the outside world is not as supportive as she wants to be, right?
exactly
So finding like
exactly.
the balance there must be really hard. And how's
And then
your
Especially back then.
yeah, exactly.
exactly that was like started like when was that like 2006
Yeah.
around that
Mm.
2007 around like at that time even earlier like I started dancing when I was 6 years old. I think that was what 2000.
Mm.
Yeah, something around that. And this wasn't a very open time, you know, where this
Yeah.
was where you can like be your authentic self with 12. Where
Exactly. I mean, if you
yeah.
think about it, like the whole topic of or not really topic, but the whole conversation about um trans people and making it more normal or normalizing it in the uh time that we are right now, it only just happened in the last few years. I feel like that more and more
Oh
people
yes, 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 yes.
in like doesn't matter if it's celebrities or online personas or whatever, people
Mm.
came out publicly and talked about them being trans, people starting
Mm.
to document their transitions online. Like that's kind of like I can just say how I got in touch with the whole topic because something that's really like interesting to me as well. Like I remember, I mean, I know you're a lot into like beauty and makeup as well. Like that's also something
Mm.
that we bonded over a lot, I think, in the beginning because we were
I think
both
so too,
like
yeah.
we were like both
So
watching
obsessed
yeah,
with
had to
stuff, yeah.
had to buy like always the newest makeup palettes and
Mm.
had to talk about the newest drama in the whole makeup community. Um, and I think that was like one of the things where I got really in touch with those kind of things. Like I
Mm.
remember, for example, Nikita Dragon by in the beginning, that was like one of the persons.
I
Is
think there
she?
was even what yeah, she's
Yeah,
the
she's
trans
trans.
person.
Yeah, she's
Yeah, and I
trans.
think it was like the first time like someone like openly, like in my bubble at least, or the
Mhm.
things I was very interested in, that
Mhm.
was like the same as me, like that came out openly, and she was just there, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And she was so unapologetically herself, right?
Exactly.
And that was so refreshing. And not only that, but in general, like the whole like gender bending, non-binary, this whole thing, like there was such a huge variety of different people you could see in this community. Like if you think about somebody, like, doesn't matter now, talking about like let's leave out all the drama and the controversy that a lot of those people went through, but like just looking at like the different characters that you see there, like Jeffree Star, that is like everything from like being androgynistic, is that the word, to
Androgynous, I think we
and
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
androgynous,
I
thank you.
think androgynous is the
Yeah,
sorry.
exactly, to being like super feminine,
Mm.
calling himself an alien, not wanting to be labeled at all. Then there people like, I don't know, Manny MUA, that is like openly gay,
And
always
likes
rocks his
makeup and has a
yeah, exactly,
beard.
has a beard, wears his
Exactly.
makeup. Then having somebody like James Charles, right, that is like uh kind of like just gay looking, boyish dude, that
Twink
then
and
again fucking wears wigs and out of a sudden looks like the most beautiful woman
For
out
women, you
there.
can imagine, yeah.
Exactly, like, and just seeing people expressing themselves in the way that they are comfortable with, without
Mm.
necessarily having to label them, and seeing also the community always being with people like, yeah, but what are you now? Like, you're like, with many, I remember people were like, yeah, you're wearing makeup, but you have a beard, like, how does that work? And then like with James Charles, I remember like the first time he started wearing
Yeah.
wigs and wearing dresses and stuff, and then
And people
people were
were
like,
asking him if he's trans
yeah,
now.
exactly. Are you
Yeah, like
trans now? Like, no, he just likes to wear wigs and he tries to, express himself in whatever way you want.
exactly.
And that was and the same with Jeffrey. Like, people always want to know a
To
Yeah.
label.
label.
A label,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. And that is also,
What's
yeah,
what's
sorry.
so
Yeah.
fascinating to me is like, when did this switch happen from 70s, 80s, right? Everyone was so open about everything. Men in rock bands and everywhere, like, men had long hair, beautiful hair, wore makeup and everything. They just looked like the fuck they wanted to.
Yeah, the
And then at
hippie
some
times back then,
point,
yeah. Mm.
yeah, 70s, 80s, basically, like, also it's just what you saw with the celebrities, right? Like rock
Mm.
bands and everything. I don't know how it actually was in private
Free
or
love,
like the
everybody
normal
loved
social
everybody.
life,
Mm.
but yeah, we were there already, where like everyone does the fuck they want, like, and they dressed like they want. And then at some
Mm.
point we went back to, hey, why are you wearing this as a man? Why are you wearing this as a woman? Like, I'm just, it's so confusing to me when this switch happened again, and why, you know what I mean? Like, we were so open already.
But really,
Because
really open. Because I think
yeah, that's the thing, I didn't live there then,
I
back
think
back then.
I think what we saw, like, yeah, they were very, very openly, but it was also the fashion at that time, like men wearing
True,
long hair, wearing
Mm.
true.
plateaus
Shoulder
in the
pads,
17th, shoulder
everything.
pads, makeup even. Like for example,
Mm.
if you look at some icons back then, like who
Mm.
who really was openly gay back then? I think the only
Plus,
person
True.
I remember is Freddie Mercury, right?
yeah, yeah.
That was openly gay, but
Did Elton
Mm.
John
nobody
out
else.
himself back then already? I'm not sure. But I
I'm not
remember
sure either.
also, sorry to interrupt you, I also remember, like, for example, now there's like some protests, especially like in America and stuff, about like the stupid things like protect our children from like the trans
Mm.
community or whatever. And that was the same in like the 80s and 90s with protect our children from the gay
From
community.
gay men, basically,
Yeah,
exactly,
Mm.
yeah,
because back
exactly.
then the AIDS pandemic happened, right?
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
Mm.
it was like protect your children from those men. Like don't let them touch you because then you
Yeah,
will die on AIDS. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
For
it's
that,
kind
yeah.
of it's kind of so sad for me to see that happen more or less again. Like, again, as Drew said, back then it was also like the whole topic with like AIDS and so on. But in the end, I think it was mostly just people being afraid of a concept that they didn't understand, because not everybody can identify with that or felt comfortable because they didn't have the knowledge or didn't understand those kind of things. And I think that is such a sad thing. But yeah, what I wanted to come back to is the whole situation with labels, right? So as I said, like I think for me that was like the whole makeup community and this time in like the 2000s, like I don't even remember when did it start, like 2010-ish,
Yeah, around that, I
14,
think.
15.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Like I
don't.
think that the peak of that time was like 16
Yeah,
before
exactly.
Dramageddon happens.
Exactly. Like now, like we don't have to talk about this whole drama, but that for
No, we
me
don't.
was like kind of the whole introduction into like a whole new world
Mm.
of different type of people that just express themselves the way they wanted. And for me, I don't know why, maybe because my parents were really non-judgmental when it comes to those kind of things. They always let me play with what I want, and they never really cared if I played with boy stuff. Like I was always into video games. I wanted to learn how to skateboard. I remember when I was like I don't know, 12 or something like that, I I wanted to have no, when was exactly when I switched schools, you know, when you switch from like primary school to like your first
Middle
new
school?
middle
Yeah,
school,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
And I had the idea back then because I was really not popular in primary school, and I was like, okay, when I start the new school, I can reinvent myself, right? Like I can make a new persona if I want.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and for me, for example, back then it was like, I'm gonna be the skater girl. So I went to our local skater shop. I think we talked about that once. I called them the deadlift die Soesthosen. Do you remember like the dance
Oh,
pants with like the
yeah, yeah,
strings,
yeah,
like
yes.
the super wide
I
pants with the
remember.
strings
Oh my
and
God,
the
yeah. Everyone
pockets?
wore those.
Yeah.
Everyone wore those.
So I was like, Mom, I need those pants. I went to the skate shop. I bought like the biggest, what was it called? DC skate shoes that are like super huge and like bulky. And then
I remember
I had
having
like
a
my
pair of
tank
DC's
top
matches.
and like a tie because I wanted to be like Avril Lavigne. And then I put like that's when I started with my eyeliner and stuff and like the side part. And that was like, so and again, like I was playing a shit ton of video games. I always walked around with my Game Boy, and I wanted to have consoles and all that kind of stuff. But then on the other hand, I also wanted to go to a fashion school, and like my parents were always super super open to let me explore whatever I wanted without being judgmental in a sense of like, oh yeah, but you are a girl, so you should be more interested in that.
And
So
then, yeah.
exactly. So I was luckily always super, super open with those kind of things. And for me, it was just so interesting in this whole makeup community of just people exploring so many different sides of themselves. And for me, I was super confused then when there was like all those labels and people wanted to force people into labels, right? Being like, oh yeah, but who are you now? What are you now? Like if you wear this, you need to be that, you know?
And that is still happening today. Like,
Exactly.
that's what I think personally. It might be a controversial opinion, specifically about the LGBTQ community. Like, you fought so hard to get out of this drawer thinking, like Schubladendenken, like
Mhm.
to put yourself back in
Into
there.
another one.
Exactly, with all those labels, like why can I not be just a human? You
No.
know, like
Yeah.
why do I have to label myself as a trans woman now? And then,
Yeah.
like why? And like basically they're all fighting with each other. Like lesbians find bisexual women because they think like like they always go back to penises or something. Like such dumb topics and dumb fights within the community that is like
Yeah,
that
or like, oh yeah, you're not a real bi woman if you're dating a man currently. You're like,
you're not a
have you
real
ever been with
lesbian.
a
Not a
woman
real
before? No, you
lesbian.
Yeah,
can't
you're
be
not a
bi
real
if you
lesbian,
haven't. Yeah.
exactly. You're not a real lesbian, and that's so odd to me. Like why fight something like this when you as a community should give yourself a safe space, for
Yeah.
Yeah.
everyone. Like everyone that's different. You fought for it, like our ancestors fought for it so hard to get out of this drawer thinking to put yourself back into it. That makes no sense to me.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's also very hard for me to like see labeling or anything because it's similar to Julia. Like my parents never labeled me, and I
Mm.
never labeled them, no matter what I did or what I wore or what I wanted to. Like, same with the skateboarding. I told my dad, Dad, I want to have a skateboard. And he was like, yeah, if you save the money you get from us and you have enough money, you can buy it. And there was never like this question or discussion of, yeah, but only guys do like skateboarding or anything. They didn't give a fuck about this. It was more like of the things that made me happy, right? Or about the things that made me happy. If I wanted to skateboard and if I can afford it myself, then
You can
just
have
buy
one,
it.
yeah.
Exactly. And I never had this, like, my parents never said you have to wear this, you have to wear that, or I was never put into a drawer. So I cannot like vibe with the labeling nowadays because I grew up so like supportive and open. It's like whatever you do, you do. And also with the
Oh, yeah.
LGBTQ community, I like it was when I moved to Graz, I got more into like the bubble because my best friend lives here or lived here back then already. And we got to know a lot of people also from the events in Austria and Felden, the Pink Lake Festival.
Yeah.
So we got to know a lot of people that were also in Graz. So I got into this 2013, I guess. And I was always part of it. We were partying together. Everyone wore the fuck they wanted to. They wore makeup. Like nobody cared. You look gorgeous, you know.
Exactly.
That's about it.
I mean,
Like
that's the
being
thing.
unapologetic you is like the
Yeah.
best thing that you can
Yeah.
do, you know, like stop labeling yourself, like just be you. And
I think like one reason why humankind in general needs labels is just to understand
exactly, I think,
themselves more.
yeah,
You know, like they need, same with religion or no matter what it is, you just need or want some labels to see that you're not alone with this, for example, things like that. And then as soon as it gets like obsessive or you know what I mean, it's too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge problem that people or the humankind need something to grab onto.
Yeah.
And that's why
Always.
labels happen.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's so hard. Like, obviously, you can talk about labels in so many different ways. Like, it can be obviously doesn't matter if it's like gender related, sexuality related. It can be also just by hobbies. You know, like I'm a gamer, but I also love gardening. I also like everything DIY. I love cooking. You know, and I mean, I know that it's maybe like a fucked up comparison. Like I know it's not on the same level, but for me, just because I'm one of those things doesn't mean I cannot be part of a different group as well, right? Just one thing doesn't exclude the other. So I think Steffi brought up like a good point as well with the whole people need labels to feel more comfortable or understanding stuff. And I think technically it's a really good thing that so many people want to be educated and want to learn and want to know like what is what, how does it work, what does which label include, and so on. So technically I think most of the people have good intentions behind those kind of questions or labels.
Oh yes, that brings up a huge topic. Like for example, pronouns.
Oh
That's a
yeah.
huge topic nowadays in the LGBTQ community. And I always say to people, like, I had how do you call it? Something happening. I was at a house party like by last year, I think. And we were standing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I was talking to some friends, and all of a sudden three other people walk in, and like the dude next to me, he was like, yo, and like was screaming and called out a male name. Okay. And then this person, obviously not very male-ish, comes up and slaps him.
Okay.
And be like, I'm not going by that name anymore. I am so and so. But to give more context is that the guy that calls out the name hasn't seen that person in 6 years.
Yeah. How should he know?
So he didn't know the new name.
Exactly. How should he know? So I think that was very overreactive from that trans person.
I
And like,
understand that it can be triggering clearly, but
of course,
how
because
should he know?
exactly, how should he know? And I know that many trans people are very, very sensitive about their male or female name, you know?
Their old
Like,
names,
for
yeah.
example, exactly, their old names, their old selves. And for me, it was never a problem. Like, obviously at work when I have a phone call with somebody and they call me sir or something.
Mm,
It happens still. Like
mm.
you can hear that my voice is not very female, but I don't care,
I don't.
you
Um,
know. And
No, but
so
I know quite a lot of women with deeper voices, so I'm
I don't know.
yeah,
I
I
think it's
wouldn't.
really hard to assume somebody's
Yeah,
gender by a voice. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's also like depending. Even if you just compare, for example, Steffi and my voice in English and in German, they sound so different.
oh
I
yeah, I think when you guys talk German, it's always a tad higher
Yeah,
than
it's way
English.
higher.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
yeah,
my
it's
voice
yes,
is
higher,
so
yeah,
right?
much deeper
Yeah.
when I
yeah,
speak English
yeah,
than German for no
Mm.
reason.
yeah.
So
That's
so
so
like
weird.
I don't know, and it's such a hard thing. Like it's the same when I don't know a boy uh goes into puberty and the voice starts cracking. Like
Yeah.
it changes so fast. Like you hear people like in video games, for example. Um, for example, I don't know if you saw the young kid that I used to play with now a few days. Like
Oh, but
Bart,
something,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's I think he's 12 or something like that, or 13, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
people
And they're
ask in the chat
bullying
like,
him. Yeah, like
yeah,
oh, is
I
it
know, I
little
saw.
girl or
My
is he?
God,
Yeah, like, and I'm like, it's the most normal thing that he goes
Yeah.
to puberty or whatever. And I think it's so hard to even gender people just by their
Mm.
voice. And
And I
I'm
think I don't even have a manly
no,
voice.
not at
Like
all.
for me,
Mm.
I don't think I have a
Mm-mm.
manly voice, but people do assume. Like for example,
Mm.
of course, I do have a beard, and you see my beard shirt because I'm so like covering it takes a lot of time. Like I don't do that
Mm.
very often because it's like ugh, and I do get lasering done. But like I as I said before this, I was dog sitting Roxy's dog, and I came home, and obviously I wasn't shaved, and but I wore a skirt, like
Mm-hmm.
my daily what I wear, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was standing at the train station, and then two dudes come up, and obviously from behind I do look very appealing. And then he turned to me and he wanted to say something. And then he's like, "Oh my God, you're a dude." I'm like, "Oh, so what?"
I
Mm.
don't
Like
understand why people have to why is that a conversation starter? Like why is it anybody's concern?
exactly. Like I think he looked at me the way he can like flirt with a
Mm.
girl or something, and then he looked at me like, "Oh my God, you're a boy." And I was like, "Oh, no
he,
shit, Sherlock."
he probably got he's probably confused by himself. He's like, oh no, my
Exactly.
masculinity.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Probably very.
Endangered.
His species is endangered.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I'm attracted to somebody that has facial hair. Oh no. Say
And
honestly,
that's
like
yeah.
I have to, for example, I have to shave my mustache all the time because I have like a my grandma was Italian, right? So I got
Oh,
a
so do you have a dark
mustache.
mustache? Yeah. Mm.
So I look like a
I'm
12-year-old boy if I don't shave my upper lip.
It's also very funny that I have three brothers, right? And
Hmm.
they're all blonde. No beard, nothing, no
What?
facial. And then there's me.
Oh,
The
and
one
you're the one that
person
got
that
the
doesn't
beard.
need that at all. I have
Oh
dark
Irony.
hair.
no.
I used to have like this great, like every male uh, would be so freaking jealous of it. I had like the biggest beard ever, like so dark, so rich, so strong. Like the hairs
Mm.
were so strong. That's why I get laser done, and I had so far I had 32 appointments
Oh wow.
because my beard was so strong and the hair was
Mm.
so
Mm.
thick.
Oh, it must be
And
painful as well, right? To get it.
yeah, especially upper lip was
Mm.
so painful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm
Okay.
not done yet. They say they need around another 20 fittings
Oh
for it
wow.
to be like
Ar-
fully gone. Yeah.
With like during which time did you have the 32
Um.
appointments? Like over a year or how
No, no,
often?
no, no, no,
Oh
no.
no, it's many
I
years, right?
started. Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah,
even had
that's
a
why.
break between it.
Mm-hmm.
I started when I was 20 or something,
Hmm.
and I did
Mm-hmm.
like the first 20 sittings in the same year,
Oh
and then I
wow.
took
Mm-hmm.
a break for 2 years, and then like recently I went to get another 12 done.
So
Like
do
every 6 to 8 weeks, because
okay.
Mm-hmm.
your
You need
hair
to
has
wait
to
in
be in
between,
growth.
right? Yeah.
Exactly,
The
your
Yeah.
hair.
follicles need to they need to
Yeah.
fall out, then the next cycle needs to start because it's always like what is it like? It's like a I think from what I remember, because I used to do like the lasering under my armpits
Oh
before
yeah, they're
Corona.
like because not
Like
all
you
of
have
your hair
three
follicles.
circles. I think
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
you laser. The first ones fall out, then a second batch comes
Second
after,
circle.
needs to fall out, and I
Exactly,
think you have
exactly.
like 3 different cycles that can come out,
Mm,
and then you need
but
to hit
yeah,
every circle a few times or something like that. I'm not
yes, yes,
100%
yes,
sure.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
And I think
exactly.
like facial hair is even like more prominent because it's like obviously way more dense than, for example, armpit
Even
hair
if
and
you
stuff.
had like such dark hair as I do, it's like the lasering is like even better than because it have like people with like light hair have like the problem laser is not really
Working. Oh
working
yeah,
that
because
good on
mm,
bright hair, and so they get like I think it's called electrolysis or something, which is
electrolysis. Yeah,
basically yeah
it
electrolysis,
saps
which
it.
basically
Yeah.
yeah
Ugh.
basically a small long needle that they have to put in your follicle to like electrocute it.
Mm,
And that for me is like I'm so happy that I don't have to do that because the laser is
Yeah.
working so wonderfully for
it's
me.
way faster, so the pain is only for like a shorter duration of time
Yeah,
than with the.
and exactly. I only have beard shadow like around my chin area and my upper lips. Like there's nothing here anymore because
Yeah.
there's there's no more hairs there. And the hairs that do still grow there basically have like no melanin that grow
Oh, nice.
like basically like a little
Plum.
glass noodle. Like
Oh,
they come out, like some hairs do come out, but they don't have color. They're like
okay.
see-through.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice though. That's nice. So you're gonna get rid of that soon too. Nice. Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about your transition more, because you start talking
sure.
about like meeting that first openly gay friend when you
Mhm.
like were like 12, 13,
Oh,
and I
we
think
were, we
then we went
were
a little bit off
off
road of,
topic.
yeah, off
Yeah.
topic like we always do when we talk.
Um, so I met him, and it wasn't my first like sexual. Like nothing happened, but like we
Hmm.
were laying in bed, and I somehow like the. I cannot tell you exactly how it worked, how it went down, but all of the sudden I was on him.
Hmm.
Like you could literally like a scene from a movie. Like I hold his hands like up and like was sitting on him. Like
Hmm.
and I was
Nice.
12 back then. Like I was super, how do you call it? Like good developed, I guess. Like with 12, like I knew exactly what I
Yeah.
wanted.
Hmm.
Nothing
We're
happened
early.
though.
Yeah.
I was really early. Nothing happened though. We stopped at the right moment, I think, which was good back then. But like I knew exactly what I wanted back then. Like I
Mm.
knew
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to be that I like boys. I think boys are like more attractive to me than women are. I think
Hmm.
women are very beautiful, but not in a sexual
Sexual way,
way.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so then I got home and I changed, obviously, as I talked before about it, I changed my appearance. I grew my hair. I
Mm.
shopped clothing. And then kind of the years went by. And to give a little bit more knowledge, like some of you may know, I was always the fat kid. I was really obese. And so I got therapy.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have therapy in order for you to get hormones. And back then it was a little bit different. Like today, as it is now, you need to have three or four sittings with your therapy, and then they can write you um basically ein Gutachten. I don't know the
Mhm.
English term.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
For you to go to your hormone doctor and I don't know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
call
but
them
I know, we
andro.
know what you meant. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And
to
then
prescribe you like the blockers or
the
the
hormones,
hormones that
but
you
That
need.
you
Yeah.
blockers,
need, yeah.
exactly. And I took hormones back then, but I couldn't
Mhm.
take blockers because I was fat. And
Oh, okay.
the blockers are like very, very thrombosefördernd. So
Oh yeah,
sorry,
you
there's
get,
so
yeah,
many
yeah. No,
Yeah.
terms.
I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Thrombosis.
So
Mm-hmm.
And
you
and from a
have the risk of getting blood clots if you would take
exactly,
them.
exactly.
No.
And from a doctor's standpoint, they were like, no, we cannot prescribe you that because you're
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
very obese. Like, come back when you're a little bit like slimmer, and then we can talk about it again. So I started my transition off of hormones only, like
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
no testosterone blockers, only hormones. That's what I took, and I took a cream
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I take pills,
Mm-hmm.
but I used to start with a cream, which is basically which is even a better way, I would say. But because the skin absorbs it better than
Mm-hmm.
than if you take it orally like pills. So but it was a happy feeling, you know. I finally started to like I didn't see it. You don't see a change directly, but I was very happy.
Mm.
Like, you know, it was a step in the right direction
Mm.
with like
Yeah.
19. There was a long time, like from like 14 to 19, where nothing really happened with me.
Yeah.
Because my mom always said, like, you should know yourself what you're doing. Like, I don't wanna like be part, like not be part of it, but like decide for you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
your
What
parents can do that.
responsible? Yeah.
Exactly, nowadays, like you can start like hormone therapy and like
Puberty
what
blockers and stuff like that,
exactly
right? Pretty
very
early.
very
Mm.
early exactly. But my mom was always like, I want you to decide what's best for you, and so I don't want to decide it for you. You know,
Mm.
like because she had to give permission then until I was 18,
Yeah.
and she was
Mm-hmm.
always like, no, I don't want to do that. You should do it yourself when you're old enough. And I
Mm.
think and I think I needed it. I think that was the right decision for my
Yeah.
mom.
I
I
just wanted to
am
ask, was it for you also the right decision,
I
or
think
just for,
so. I think
yeah?
so. Waiting and like get to know myself, get to know my body even more.
Yeah.
Like and even though it's a male body, right? But still get to know more about it and like have sexual experience too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was very necessary for me in order to know that I do not wanna be a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said there was no real coming out with your parents, right?
No,
Because you
no.
were always like, for you it was like a journey that you went on really really early, and the way that you developed yourself and changed yourself to become the person that you are today, kind
Mm.
of in a natural way, right? So when so for you, was it harder for you to um tell people around you how how you see yourself or who you are for yourself, or was it harder for yourself to realize it for yourself, or like come out towards yourself, like, hey, maybe I'm not a gay man, maybe I'm a woman living in a male body, like.
No, I don't think nothing of it because the people, as I said before, like they grew with me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like they were
Mm.
always on the journey with me. They knew exactly something was not a up par with like being a normal boy because
Mm-hmm.
I grew my hair. So I never really came out, but they were always with me on their journey of me changing slowly
Yeah.
myself. So
Mm.
I never had the I don't think I never needed to out myself to say like openly like okay, I come out of the closet now and be like, here I am, I'm a part trans woman. But
Mm-hmm.
I never needed to do that because they were always with me on my journey and always like from being a child that loved to play with Barbie dolls to being more and more feminine and wearing
Mm.
feminine clothing. I think I never needed this outing. And I think I'm very happy with that, never needing to out myself. And I'm so how do you call it? Like I take my hat off for those people that do this and like get like the worst reaction ever possible because I never had that. I can always say, like, I have the empathy towards them, but I never knew it myself because
No, you
I never
never had
had
to hide yourself, basically.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's really beautiful though, that you had such a open upbringing from everybody around you.
Yeah,
Um.
because the because my family obviously had like gay people before it, but like it was never questioning that like even with three brothers, they were like never that harsh about it. And also with like my
That's beautiful.
surroundings, like, and was never bullied. I was never bullied. Like people tried it obviously and called me like that one fat gay kid or something.
Mm.
I mean, but it was for me. I think I had such a huge self confidence about it that it like
Mm.
never bothered me. You know,
Ah,
Yeah.
like
so
I was
nice.
always like, let them talk. Like I
Yeah.
know what I'm worth and I
Yeah.
know what I want to become. So I'm not letting those idiots bring me down.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
never
So
that's
listened to
also like
intelligent.
them.
one of the
Yeah.
first things I noticed about you. Like when I met you first, like you're straight till this point. I think one of the persons that I know that has like the biggest self confidence. like
Yeah, I was
or
always
like
very
self-worth.
unapologetically
Yeah, like
me.
I think self-worth is maybe even a better word than confidence, because like you always knew
Yeah.
exactly who you were, and you didn't care about what other
Mm.
people would think about you, because you knew your value, and it
And
wouldn't change what other people say about it,
Yeah.
right?
and that brings us to a topic to the time when we met, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh
I would
yeah,
say, like this
good
is actually a
transition.
coming out. This is actually a coming out in some sort for like people that know me but never knew I was trans. Like
Oh yeah.
they would think I'm a woman or some sort, which is just a deep voice. But I think like many people don't know that I'm a trans woman.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
Drew, we both talked about it. What we're talking about now, maybe a little bit more, is when it comes to the whole gaming community, right? So Drew has been playing for years, Counter-Strike, now also Valorant, and you've been really active. You've been a big active part of the female CS community, and
I
also in the
think so,
Valorant
yes.
one, right? And that was a topic. Like I think I only found out that you were trans
Because I said it in
this
your
year.
chat.
Yeah, I think, was it
Yeah,
this
I
year
said it. I think it was last year,
or
somewhere
last
around.
year? Yeah,
Yeah, I said it
like
in your
I
chat. Yeah.
never knew either. Like I never it never came to my mind. I don't know, like for me you were
Yeah, I
always
said
Drew,
it.
and it was never the topic or anything. So yeah, that's the one thing where you were not
Very,
really.
yeah,
So
very.
what was it that scared you about being
I
like
think I
opening trends in
I
the female
said that
community?
earlier. I'm not afraid to call out. So,
You don't have to say the names, but just like
and
it was a bad experience
exactly,
from
it
you
was
that
a
you had,
bad
right?
experience back then when there was the first female hub in
Mm-hmm.
CS:GO that our dear friend Project Solo created.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a team with basically I didn't know anyone back then. I just played because I
Mhm.
had fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I basically only knew you and Malin because I
Mm-hmm.
used to watch your streams. And I had this experience that some girl would like give me a call and be like, I don't know exactly what she said anymore, unfortunately, but
Mm.
she said something about me being a boy,
Okay.
which was that was so shocking to me, and I didn't know what to say about it. And
Mhm.
because I obviously never wanted to see as a boy, and never wanted to be seen as a boy, because
Mm.
for me I wasn't a boy. I'm not a
Yeah.
boy. And that made me so scared of like being open about me being trans, that I never really talked about it, that I every
Yeah, you
time this
never had to
conversation.
talk about it in your real life before, right? Because
Because
you
I
were
Yeah.
always,
exactly,
Yeah.
I never
yeah.
had to talk about me be a. Well, I mean, obviously, I had to talk about it when, like, in the work-related stuff,
Yeah, of course,
but
of
like, it
course.
was
But
never a problem for anybody else. And then all of a
Mm.
sudden, I get called out like this, and like in a really mean way too. And then the
mm,
girls were laughing about it too in the team. I was like, I felt so disgusted by myself that I would never really again talk about it.
no.
Like
Mm.
it wasn't for me. It was like I wouldn't stand up and go away from the pussy and cry. I just felt disgusted. It wasn't even sad about it, but I was just disgusted at myself for that reason, and that I felt this way because I was different. I was not a
Mm,
cis female player, that because there was
Mm.
nobody else around.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody else was openly trends until a certain point where
yeah.
like two or three other girls joined the community and the CS community. Then there was only me, and
I
I
think it was
didn't
just
really.
Valorant where there was like more
I
openly trans people
Yeah, but I
in
think we
the.
do had some sort of like in the female hub in
Yeah, we had
CS:GO we
like,
had.
yeah, we had a handful.
Yeah.
I remember when because obviously there's also like an interesting topic, because obviously with the female hub, for example, we had to establish rules, right? Like who can be in the
Mm,
hub, and where's gonna be like the line drawn between like who can join and who cannot, right? So there's also a topic that is like a hard one, because obviously you want to be inclusive, you want to give people a safe space, right? But
Mm.
we talked about it earlier a little bit as well. There's also people that want to abuse exactly that
that
gray
yeah.
area where they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, but what if I want to join this tournament too, just to troll, right? Clearly, and then
Yeah.
maybe shining a bad light onto people out of the trans community that just want to be part of the community that they obviously belong into, right?
Yeah.
So and that is a really hard topic to talk about, because obviously if you're a normal like a normal part of the community already, right, and then you need to bring up like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm trans, it was never a topic before, but just so you guys know, right? Like, it's like, yeah, but it kind of doesn't change anything, or does it? And then there's people that for them it changed something. Like, I can only imagine how hard that topic needs to be, because like it doesn't change anything about the person that you are, right? Like,
Exactly.
it doesn't change anything. Just, yeah, I don't know. For
Yeah.
me, I know it's I do understand that there needs to be a line drawn of so for what people don't know, like for example in female tournaments, what we used to do back then, just to be sure that is the actual people playing and it's not
Have your cam on.
exactly, we had to have our cameras on to play to see that it's actually the girls that are playing, because what used to happen back then was that, for example, people that had boyfriends that played like in higher leagues, that were like in tier 2 or 3 teams, they were playing instead of
For
their
the girls,
girlfriends
yeah.
in the female leagues.
Which still happens
It
apparently,
still
even in
happens.
Valorant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
It's crazy.
it's a fucked up thing that you even have to control those kind of things. And then there was things happening as well, where there were men that were playing like, I don't know, tier 3 Counter-Strike or Valorant or whatever. They were like, oh yeah, we're not successful in the normal male leagues, so we just want to join into a smaller community of the female gaming bubble. And even though they have absolutely nothing to do with the trans community, they're not really trans women, they just want to abuse that and be like, oh yeah, I identify as a woman now, so I will play in this tournament.
Yeah.
And that is where it's really hard to draw the line, because like obviously you want to be inclusive towards trans women, but you also need to protect the community of women to not
Exactly.
have assholes like this that just want to troll around and fuck up the community.
And that's, as you said, a very fine line. Like, how do you go on and do that? Like, how will you find out that this is a trans person of some
Exactly.
sort, and not just a boy trying to prove a point here?
Exactly. And the issue is like, obviously if you say, for example, yeah, the line is that you need to be on paper a woman in your passport or whatever. Like, I mean, you know probably yourself that for many people that is a journey that takes like years, right, till you can change your passport, for example, from
Oh yeah,
male
I
to
think
female.
there was a back then, I think there was this one tournament that actually required me to send in my passport for me to say that I'm a woman, even though I was a trans woman back then.
Yeah.
But still, that is a little thing, which is funny to me, because like my passport does not say that I'm male or female. It's only the how do you call it, the one where you can travel far with. Reisepass.
Yeah,
That's the
Reisepass.
only thing that says male,
Male or
female, or
female,
diverse.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can nowadays do diverse too, I think.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that says it, and like not everyone has such a passport.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, where do you pull that line? Do you say you need the passport that says that? Do you want like from a therapist, like some kind of proof that they are on their journey to transition? Like, where do you pull that line? And that is, first of all, something I think that is really hard to figure out, to make it fair and to protect the
also,
community for both sides, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Where is it not like really? Where is it not stepping a step too far? Like not crossing a
Doesn't
line for
matter in
the
which direction. Yeah.
for the trans people, right? Where is it not crossing a line from what you wanna get to like confirm that this person is a real trans person?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, what defines
Exactly. What defines being trans and real?
Exactly.
For
And
example.
there we go back to labeling. And the problem is as well that nowadays it's a really hard topic to talk about. And I'm actually also really interested of the comments later on this episode, because bringing up topics like this, I think is an important thing, right? Like to have
Very
this
much.
conversation of defining clear lines, but also how do you do this without getting completely destroyed online or
Exactly.
called whatever phobe, because it can go in both directions, right?
Yes.
Right.
Unfortunately.
And nowadays it's so hard to have a normal conversation about an important topic that should be important for whatever side you're standing on. A side that sounds so stupid, like that alone, having to say on which side you stand on is already like such a stupid
when there shouldn't
wording.
be any sides at all.
Exactly. So yeah, it's really, really hard that nowadays you can't even have a conversation on that topic that has to be had without being afraid or like walking on eggshells, like you have to think about like every little thing.
Yeah, that is the
How you
pronoun thing.
phrase-
That is the pronoun thing that I was talking earlier about it, because like what I tell people nowadays is like, for me it doesn't matter what pronoun you use. Like I am not the one to judge if you say she, her, or he, him. Like I don't really care. But that's why I always say like I'm a very, how do you call it, like a stress-free trans person, because I don't really care what pronouns you use. I'm a human. That's all that matters to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And with that example I gave with that boy that called out the wrong name, right? Like I think like the more open we get, the more sensitive it also gets. Like that's why I always tell people, like, just ask before, ask for their pronouns. That's the first question. Just ask away, and then you can avoid all the unnecessary drama that happens from it if you use the wrong pronouns.
I mean, is there anything? Sorry, Steffi, just one thing. No, actually, Steffi should start. Otherwise, I'm gonna.
I was thinking about that as well, especially when Twitter like introduced it, Instagram introduced it as well with the pronouns, right? And then I was going for a walk, and I would prefer, like, my preferable option would be call everyone human.
Yeah.
And then if someone wants me to use the correct pronouns, you just tell me. So you, as you said, you can't like hurt anyone or you can't use the wrong pronouns. And then I was thinking when I was walking around, you get to like interact indirectly with so many people on a daily basis, right? On the streets, no matter if you do groceries, if you go for walkies, whatever it is. And I do not know any of their pronouns at all because I'm not like interacting with this person per se, like one-on-one interaction. So I don't care about it because they're human. And the same for me is with the internet. Like it would be like if people run around outside like in Black Mirror and you see popping up everyone's pronouns so you can't offend anyone.
Apple
you know
Vision,
what I mean?
Apple Vision soon, Steffi.
Exactly. So yeah, I know. So what I want is just to have a neutral word.
Hello, my name
every
is
human being. Like hello human, and then you know what I mean. So I think what I just wanted to bring up. That's how I saw it outside, like when I was walking, came up.
I think my biggest issue is, for example, like I want to be really inclusive and neutral or respectful to everybody because I literally, like, I have no problem with anybody. I want to be like I can just notice myself. Yeah, exactly. Not really Switzerland, because like I support everybody in wanting to be their most authentic self, right? Like, why wouldn't I want everybody to be happy in their own body and mind? Like, why wouldn't I want this? But I just noticed it in this episode myself, and I usually don't really struggle as much with how I form a sentence, right? But I noticed, especially in this episode, how I noticed myself saying something wrong. I'd be like, oh shit, if somebody listens to this could sound really offensive if taken out of context. And I want to be like, I'm a person, I hope you know that, and most people out there know that I'm an ally, and I literally like support, and I'm your biggest cheerleader out there, right? But I myself, as somebody that supports everybody, I'm so afraid to make mistakes or step on anybody's toes. Especially nowadays on the internet, that, you know, sometimes even when it comes to discussions, I choose to not interact with certain discussions because I know that I somehow gonna fuck up and then offend somebody.
Oh yeah.
If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
But that's such a wrong thinking, because you can only like you,
Can
us as a community cannot demand something. Like, you cannot demand for people to educate themselves. Like, you educate them. Like, I tell you what pronouns I use. I tell you what I go by. Am I a trans woman? Am I a transgender? Whatever, am I just a alien myself? Like, I educate you first, so you can spread the word to other people and be like
yeah,
helpful and resourceful to other people that don't know about it.
Mm,
no.
But nowadays everyone is so sensitive about everything. So
Mm.
and cancel culture is a huge thing, right?
mm,
Where like you get cancelled for basically everything these days.
no,
Mm.
no. So that's the only thing that I really struggle. Like, if I want to be supportive, like, which I want to be, right?
How can I be supportive?
How can I be supportive without at the same time being afraid that I say something wrong?
Mm.
Because, like, I feel I'm already somewhat educated on the topic, right? Like, I'm not. I'm obviously. There's always more that can be done and that can be educated on, right? But I feel like I have a pretty good knowledge about the topic. But again, obviously, there's always so much more that can be done. But how do
Yeah.
how can I be more supportive without the fear of stepping on somebody's toes, right? And obviously that's a answer that will look different, or like the answer to this question will be different from everybody that
everyone.
you talk with, right?
Exactly.
And I think like what we are, Julia, or how we label us in this case is
Mhm.
we see people for who they are. And that is an important thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I see the
you
soul
don't
of
need to.
see the
Yeah,
soul of a
exactly.
person.
Exactly. You
And
don't, yeah.
I say that over and over again, and I know a lot of people take that a very wrong way or offensive or whatever, but for me the way I see it is, I don't care what you live with yourself, how you live, whatever it is that makes you happy, as long as you don't
Happy,
hurt
yeah.
anybody else. And if you bring this like the respect you're gonna bring towards me, I'm gonna bring towards you, right? And
And you can be yourself, basically. Just be
exactly,
yourself. Yeah.
Just be your
exactly,
freaking self.
exactly. But that's so hard because, like, I've said those things on stream before, like when those people that just come into chat and try to just be edgy or try to make you say something that you shouldn't say. Like, for example, the biggest topic was when the whole Harry Potter game came out, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I decided to not play it on stream, but there were still people coming in chat, like trying to trigger you and trying to be like, oh yeah, are you gonna play the game? Why are you not playing the game? Those kind of things, and trying to
Yeah.
make you say things that will get you into trouble. And you're like, I'm just sitting here. I'm trying to do the right thing,
Mm.
whatever that might be, right? And then there's still people trying to somewhat fuck you over, if you will.
Trigger you, like, in a
Yeah,
wrong
exactly.
way.
Or
Yeah.
make you
You
say
can't make
things.
them all happy.
Mm-mm.
It's
And
like
that
some
is
people,
so hard.
yeah.
This is so hard because you cannot, like, I'm a people pleaser. Like, I'm
And
gonna be
you
honest.
cannot please everyone. That is
Exactly.
the
And that's a
thing.
Exactly.
tough thing to learn, especially when you're like on social media, right? Or a person of social media as well, with streaming and everything. So
now
I'm fully with you on this. I feel you on
and
this.
now think about, like, we're all in our 30s, right? So we're somewhat established and have our self-confidence. And now let's imagine you live in this moment and
Yeah.
you're 16 years old.
As a teenager, yeah.
Dude, if my 16-year-old self would have to live in this society right now, oh my god. If my oh my god, I would fuck up so bad. I'm gonna be honest.
And also social media plays a huge part about it, right?
Exactly. That's what I mean, on social media. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so crazy to me. Like, for example, like I had this work related stuff in the public health department
Mhm.
I'm the only trans person working
Mhm.
there, and so the child psychological department basically within us had a question about a I think she was 14-year-old girl that
Mhm.
had problems in school and didn't go to school anymore because her teacher would not call her by her chosen name. So they asked
Mhm.
me for advice about it because I'm the only trans person in the whole department.
Yeah.
So they asked me about it, and I had a conversation with that little girl, and I found out that she herself is, I don't think she was per se trend, but she just wanted to not to have the female name anymore. She wanted to be, I think her chosen name was something similar to Max or something. She
Mhm.
wanted to be
Mhm.
that. She wanted to be that, and her teacher wouldn't call her that. She would always call her. So she started to rebel a bit,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and but she was like, I think that what defined me the most in a conversation was, but social media told her that there's only one way, like to go the whole length or nothing. And I'm like, no, there's so much more in between nowadays
Mhm.
where you can be whatever the fuck you want to be.
Mm.
And I think
Exactly.
that's also a huge problem, that social media is like, so like, if you don't feel confident in your body, you're trans. But
Mhm.
that's not true. Like,
Mm.
there's so much more in between, which has to, like, where people have to shed a line on it. It gets more open, like, every day. People learn more, people educate themselves more, but like, there's not just one thing anymore. Like, there's
Yeah.
no such thing as you are transsexual when you don't want to be Michelle anymore, for example, where
Yeah.
like, you're not, you can be so much more nowadays.
Mm. And I feel like, especially through social media as well, like if you look through comments or questions or videos or
Mm.
even just interviews where, like, let's say like the mainstream media is interviewing trans people, for example, like the questions and like comments, we don't have to talk
Always
about
the
comments.
same.
It's so intrusive. Like people are
Mm.
like, oh yeah, there's a trans person, we need to know everything. We need to know what they have in their pants. We need to know how far along they're in their transition. Like you need to know like every single detail. While when you're a cisgender person,
Mm.
nobody would ever ask you questions about your genitals. For example, like just because you happen to be born in the wrong body and you have to already go through a transition, like have to go the journey, and then on top of
Yeah.
that you have to endure fucking intrusive questions, like especially also like in the whole gaming scene now as well, right? I can not imagine how hard that must be. Feel like you feel like you're part in a community, and then um out of a sudden you people find out that you're trans, that you were not born a woman, and then out of a sudden there's like all those questions coming up, right? That must be something that is so
Mm.
hard and rude, and I don't know where our society takes the nerve to just ask those kind of questions, like.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Then it gets like, so for example, that kind of, to go a little bit away again from the gaming community, like,
Mhm.
if I would be on a dating, like Tinder or
Oh
something,
yeah.
Mhm.
like the first question would also be like, do you have boobs? Like, that is one of the most frequent question I get asked, is like, do you have boobs? Or do you have a penis though? That are the most asked questions. And I'm like, well, sometimes I'm tired of explaining,
Hmm. Like,
but
how,
sometimes
can
I
I just
do
ask something
explain.
in between?
Sure.
Like, how does your dating profile look like? Like, I have no idea. Like, do you like display in the profile itself that
I
you're
display that I'm a transgender
okay?
woman. Yes, I do
I,
that.
I'm just wondering because that must be like annoying as well. Like, because like
Oh,
obviously you go
yes.
through the whole journey. You're a woman, and then I understand it as well. Like on the opposite side, like you want to be honest. You want to know the people. Um, to be, you just want to be honest towards them, what they get
Mm.
themselves into, right? But then again, having to label yourself again over and over and over again must be something that's like super annoying, right? Or
It is, and it like for like I think what is the most annoying part for me is explaining myself the whole time. Like some people would even ask me like, "Oh, so you were a boy before, or were you a girl before?" And I'm like, "Dude, do I look like I was a girl before, and I'm still looking like a girl, but I want to be a boy?" Like
Mm.
really? Like,
mm,
so that like those kind of questions that are like super exhausting to answer, like, or the stuff about genitals, like if I have boobs or if I have a penis though, whatever, that gets like exhausting and sometimes. But I
mm.
also am the person that rather educates the person 100 times more than just like lash out on somebody.
And be like, oh yeah, you're so disrespectful.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
One question that I had, because I know, from our conversations that you're always brutally honest, and I'm sure you have some funny stories. To end up this episode, do you want to share like one, or if you want multiple, of your dating experiences that stood out for
Okay,
you that you want to share?
so I dated a guy once, and yeah, it was only one date, but he was a teacher, and you would think that those people are more educated. And the whole time he was complaining about someone as me. Like we talked about money, right? About salaries, about what we get, and I
Mhm.
earned more than him,
Mm-hmm.
and that was his. Like he hung up to me,
Oh no.
yeah, getting more money than him basically, and he was like,
Mhm.
how can somebody like you earn more than him? And I'm like, well, dude, I'm educated as well. I have two bachelors and a
That's a
master.
great
Like,
conversation
Yeah.
like,
to have on the first date. Like, what
like,
did you think?
sorry, but
Yeah, I'm
what
gonna
do you
get into
think
her pants like this.
exactly, like, what do you think that like trans people do not go to school or something? Like they're not
When
educated
you
at
go
all
to
or
school?
something? Yeah,
It's
white. I
crazy.
went to school. It's crazy. And so yeah, and then what I did was I paid for the food we got, and I gave
Ooh.
the waiter a 30 euro tip
Mm-hmm.
because I can. And
And
I
then
made
he
it
got
so that he
offended.
saw it. No,
Oh,
so
you
I
did it.
made
Oh,
it
you triggered him.
I
Ego.
I made it so that he saw it.
His pee
So
Mhm.
that
shrank.
yeah,
Mhm.
so that his pee shrank even more. And that was
Oh.
like such an odd date. I don't know, like why would somebody that to me is toxic masculinity.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%. 100%.
that for me was the best example I can describe toxic masculinity for. And then once I had a date with a guy that was raised very Christian,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
but like tried to breach out of that. I think he was raised very
Mhm.
Christian, and like his dad would like dated him for like it was, I don't know, we saw each other like 6 times or something, and obviously
Mhm.
you have deep talk then already, and we talked about his experiences, and and I think for him it was more an like an experiment
Mm.
of being
Mhm.
together with someone trans to see in which direction he wants to go
Oh.
further, And I think, like for me, I think I have that a lot. Like I do
There's people that
kind
fetishize
exactly that
trans people as
fetishize.
well, right?
Exactly, and I
Oh
think I do
shit.
have that a lot because as we talked about earlier about being passable, I think I do am kind of passable these days,
Oh, of
and
course. Again,
they
I knew you for I don't know how many years, and I didn't know.
and exactly, and that's where like those super straight dude come around and they're like, huh, I like women with a dick. Like I get that a lot. When I
Ah,
ask them, "What do
Jesus.
you like?" and they're like, "Well, I like women with a dick," and I'm like, "Okay, well, that's kind of odd, don't you think?" And you call
Mm,
yourself straight?
that's not really,
Like
not really
that's
the.
why I always ask people if they have experience with like the same sex. If I
Mm,
date a man, I always ask them when the time is right. Like, do you ever had like sex with a man? Because it's right now it's nothing different. Like there's I'm not a woman down there. I still have my penis, and and then always there's always the question comes up. Well, how do you have sex then? Like, do you never had like? Are you
I
never
wonder, how does that
How does that work?
work?
exactly like that?
Wait.
I had that so often
Jesus.
happening, like that they ask like, but how do you have sex? And like in like a really serious tone, and
Oh
I'm like,
my god.
well, have you never watched porn where like
You drilled a hole, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
that's how it
but
works.
I always have
That is
that.
so crazy. I mean that must be I mean dating in general nowadays is hard, right? Like
It's really hard,
it's
yeah.
really hard. And then on top of that, being fetish
That's a hard word.
that's a hard word.
Fetishes,
Fetishized,
fetishist. Oh.
fetishized, fetishized. No, but like being like if you're just being targeted, or not just, obviously there's, I hope there's people that are actually interested in you as a person and not just because you're trans, but that must be super annoying if people target you for the fetish, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh my
I
god.
have that. I have that a lot, quite a lot, and usually like
I mean, they want
just people.
the best from both sides, or what is
Exactly,
their
they
like?
do want the best from both worlds, and
Yeah.
which is so crazy to me to call yourself then a straight dude, because in my opinion like you say, for example, you like women, but also with a dick. Like for me, that doesn't mean you're straight. And then we're again at the thing that labels do matter for people. And in that case, it does matter for me too, because I don't think you're necessarily a straight person if you like someone with a dick, or you like the cum experience.
Oh,
That
I
doesn't
never
make,
thought
I don't
about
know,
that.
That's
that's
how.
That's actually a
it,
really
it's
tough topic.
it's a tough topic, I know, but for me that is it is so odd that you cannot, and if you talk to those people and be like, well, but that is not necessarily very straight, right? You do know that, and then they're very offended by that if you
And
if
just
you
like,
call
oh,
them,
did you just call me gay?
yeah, or like bisexual. Is that what you just
Exactly.
called me? And I'm like, no, I'm not really calling you out on that. I'm just making sure that you know where
No,
you
what do you?
stand in your
Yeah, yeah.
life. Yeah, like
Mm.
you said you like women with a dick, but then you also say like, oh, but I can never be together with a man. Like,
See,
huh?
that's so
Yeah, I
hard,
mean,
but because then
like,
obviously as well, like you identify as a woman, right? So then
I
again, it's
do.
like, ah, shit, that's
That's
tough.
tough. I know. But I
Mm.
always like to
I
call
get
those
it,
people
but
out.
exactly, but like it's, I think it's really good that you also see it that way. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it obviously
fetishes
is
are weird. Like, fetishes are fetishes in general, and there is, in my opinion, there is sites for that as well, right? Like, I don't go on a normal dating site if I don't know, uh have my fetishes, and there is special pages
Yeah.
for that as well. So if you have some fetishes, no matter if someone thinks they're fucked up or whatever it is, pissing on people, it doesn't really fucking matter.
Did
There
you
is
just
pages,
fetish shame, Steffi?
fetishizes. So
Shame?
there's sites for that, right? And normal dating sites are for getting to know people. I know this is my illusion of of dating pages. Like, obviously 90% of the people just want to fuck on these pages as well. But then
Mostly.
again, yeah, and that is fine as well if you say that, and if you tell them, hey, I'm not interested in a relationship, I just want to have fun, whatever it is. But for things like that, there's pages for this, like, in general, just
Mm.
Of course.
finding people, no matter if it's you're a couple and you want to meet another couple, whatever fetish it is.
Of course, but those
um
people don't want to admit it, I guess, mostly to
yeah,
themselves, I
that's
guess. I
yeah,
mean, it's
that's
depending
the
on the
thing, yeah.
person.
Probably, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
But
yeah,
then again, there's nothing shameful about it
oh,
if you
no,
do
Mm.
no.
like something
Mm-mm.
different, right?
Mm.
Because
But you both
and
need to
we're not
just, yeah.
exactly, we're everyone is different, so it doesn't matter what you like or what
Yeah.
fetishes you have. It's just that I think like um and I do get those people that say they like women with a dick because so many people feel offended then by that, especially
Mm-hmm.
trans people, because they want to be seen as a woman,
Yeah, of course.
and not with
I
the
can see.
extra hanging on there. For me, it doesn't matter, like, but I'm more on the topic than if you are you. For me, it's always like that. Are you really sure you're straight then? Like that
Mm,
is the question for me. We talked about it earlier. That's the only question. I don't care about what preferences do you have, but
mm.
like for me, it's then the part like, have you ever had something with a boy and you can like judge and like had that sexual experience because anal sex is tough for the first times.
Mm.
What I wanted what
Just
Juliana.
me so like,
what I
yeah.
wanted to ask, Steffi, have you dated women before? Because you're bisexual, right?
Yeah.
Have you dated
Just
women before?
I
No,
just
she's
have
not a real bi woman.
dating. I'm not a real bi
Kidding.
woman.
I'm kidding, sorry.
Dating, no. I'm
But
just like
sexual
in our friends
experience?
circles, we are just like having fun when we go out and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Back
But
then.
no other further sexual experience with like women.
No, just when I was younger, like the interesting, like when you have a girlfriend, right? And you
Mm.
just start to explore yourself before or in puberty, things like that.
Would you do like is that something you would ever consider though?
Having sex with a woman?
Yeah, like
Or yeah,
at least
definitely.
trying and okay, okay.
Yeah,
And
totally.
and you, Julia, it's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
you had that
I
before, right?
I
We
You
have to
had
talked
say,
about
the
yeah
yeah, like for
the
me,
the
I was very, very how do you say it, adventurous in my younger days. Like I was
yeah.
really
same.
I was like, I feel like it sounds really fucked up. I'm sorry to say that, but I think till I was 18. Like yeah, I think till I was like 18, 19, I already tried everything that I wanted to try.
Same. I always call myself a nun nowadays because back when I was 18 to 20, I had sex at the most exotic places you can imagine. Like
Mm,
I had sex in a bus with people in it. Like crazy to me, like that. In thinking about it today, I would
yeah,
never
yeah.
again. But
Mm.
it's something that happened, and like it's a part of my history. Like
Yeah,
to know
exactly.
like having stuff done somewhere dated married um
Men.
man
Yeah.
that I actually blackmailed. I was
Oh wow.
horrible. I
Okay.
was horrible. Yeah, I blackmailed a guy once that was married for him to pay for my stuff
Oh wow.
when I was 18. Yeah, because
Mm.
you figure yourself out. You make mistakes along the way,
Yeah, of
obviously,
course, of
right?
Mm.
course.
And then you do some stuff and it catfish people, obviously. Like I think there is not one trans person, especially male to female, that never catfished anybody. Like if you give me one that never catfished, I'm 100% sure you're lying because there's no way you have never catfished a boy or a girl before. Like honestly,
Mm. But I mean, to be honest, who didn't catfish in general?
right?
Who never ever really, yeah,
Mm.
MySpace days
been there,
or
done that.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can just talk about my, like, for me it was like I was sexually active very early. Like I had my
Mm,
first boyfriend when I was 14. I have to say, I made basically all of my experiences in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
like all the things that I wanted to try. Like I had my first boyfriend when I was 14, and he
mm.
was back then I think 1 or 2 years older. I'm not 100% sure, but like I was his first girlfriend. He was my first boyfriend. That kind of stuff. And then it was like,
Mm, so you
I mean,
experiment.
honestly, it was the best case scenario. Like I could now never imagine being with him anymore. But
Mm.
at the time, it was a good relationship. Like it was like, oh yeah, hey, I saw this online, can we try that? And it was like basically we were together for 2.5 years, and this 2.5 years, like I was then almost 17, and was like, yep, know everything, been there, done that, like
The
like
thing, you're
so.
so like we talked about
And
this
now my granny.
multiple times already. I think it was the complete opposite for me because I feel like my friend group and where I like in the friend group I grew up back then, it was more like guy and girl relationships, and there were barely the topics, like they were barely even talked about, right? Like girls were making out when they were drunk and like passing around the ice cubes
Ice
and shit like
cubes.
that. But
Mm.
it was always just, yeah, we're drunk and we're doing this. And it was never really like a thing to say like, yeah, but I like this girl. And
Mm.
and for me it was also like I always had some women in my life where I felt like I was drawn to them, but I never realized that it was because I was like attracted to them, like
Mm.
in a sexual way or a romantic way. And I never really thought of that either because it was never a thing in my friends groups. And only
Oh.
later on, when I like especially moved to Graz then and got to know all my gay friends around me, I just realized, okay, yeah, that's like
What
you
it
like who
was.
you like, or you do what you do or want to do with who you
See,
want
that's
to
so
do it.
funny. For me. That's so
Mm.
that's the exact opposite. Because for me, for example, I really like to like when I watch porn, for example. Like I really like to watch that when there's like multiple people
Mm-hmm.
involved, and doesn't matter if it's
Mm.
like men on men, girl on girl, girl man mixed, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck. Like I really like when there's a lot of people, and for me, it was always like I can say that there's so many sexy women, and like I like looking at it. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, in the beginning when I was younger, I was always like, oh yeah, I'm interested in both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't really care whatever it is. And then I tried it for myself multiple times with women, and for me it's just not like it's not the same
Mm-hmm.
for me as when I have sex with a man.
Mm. I
So
Mm-hmm.
get that.
from
I dated a woman too for
Mhm.
a while, and it was just not my cup of tea. I liked her very much, but it was just not my thing.
Yeah, same for me. Like
Yeah.
I can appreciate the way they look. Like it is, how do I say it? Like it just doesn't give me the same sensation, or it doesn't give me the same
Mm.
arousal that I have when I'm with a man.
I know that feeling.
That's just how it is. Like you, like I know, for example, if I would be in a relationship with a woman, it would be on many levels like easier if you maybe not. No, actually it would be not easier because I would be
Would
just
it be
triggered all the
though?
time. No, probably not. I think actually no. um but like I can see how it would happen. Alarm. They're
Alarm.
coming for Steffi again. So
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see how that would be, sorry, a nice thing to have, but for me there's always something missing. So for me it
Mm.
was like, even though I always wanted it to be that I'm open to everything, I can just say, then again, like maybe it was never the right girl for me that I tried
But
it with, right? But
you can say you tried.
oh
You know,
yeah,
there's
oh yeah,
so many people that like doesn't even try and say
oh
they're
yeah,
not
it's not for
attractive.
me.
Like at least try it, so
Mm.
you know that you don't like it.
Or
But
what you
like
like, yeah.
exactly, or what you like, because there's so many people. Like as I said, I dated married guys, and they were there in the closet their whole life because they never really did
Mm.
try things out, and
Mm,
now they're like what, mid 30s, and
trapped in a
are on
unhappy.
Grinder the whole day because they wanna suck
Mm.
dick. Sorry, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
right.
Yeah.
no. Mm,
And
just
then the poor
because.
woman at home doesn't know about it. That's one of
Mm.
the reason I blackmailed that guy, by the way, because I didn't know he was married. Like, and I saw him in the city then with his wife and his 2 kids,
Oh
and I was
my
like, well, you could have told
god.
me, and now I
Mm-hmm.
get my advantage out of this.
Yeah, that, yeah. I mean, again, like obviously, like you learn your lesson. Blackmailing is obviously nothing you should
Exactly,
do.
it's nothing you should do. You
Mm,
shouldn't be doing that,
yeah,
kids.
of course.
Don't.
Like, don't do that. But yeah, like I do get that, and like I'm happy that I did, or that I had all those experiences when I was younger, because like
Mm,
I think if I would have not, and I would be now in my mid 30s or something, and would be like always having this question in the back of my mind. So, but if,
mm.
what if maybe,
What
and
if
then you're
I?
in a
Mm,
committed relationship, and then maybe this thoughts in the back of your head are coming up over and over again, and then you're like, yeah, but now I'm in that relationship and I can't explore that anymore. So I'm happy that I had that, and I feel bad for people
Exactly,
that
that
get
don't.
them.
That's why I
Yeah,
always
exactly.
encourage also my friends. Like I would say, I have like two friend circles. One is very very conservative and very prude. I would say, like
Mm-hmm.
sucking dick. Oh my god, please no.
What? You
And
put a
yeah,
penis in your
oh my
mouth?
god, I actually have a friend that thinks about this way. Like she would never, she never, yeah, blowjob her partner.
Poor guy.
And uh, anyway, I always encourage them, like, try it out. If you don't try it out, how do you know you're not liking it?
Mm,
You know, like you have it in your vagina. You have that penis in your vagina. Why not in your mouth? It's like just a different hole. It's like same
mm.
body, just a different hole. You know,
And there's so
like
many different ways you can approach whatever it is, you know? Like it doesn't
exactly.
matter if it's oral. Like there's like a million different ways you can
Just
give
start with a hand job, maybe. You know, like
Hmm.
get
start
your
with
weight
that,
under.
and then slowly bringing your tongue. Like I always try to encourage, and I give them tips, even like friends
Mm,
of mine. But then again, I always feel like especially in our age nowadays, like people that are younger, like us. They do know more because they had more resources growing up, right? Like yeah, we were born into a time where internet was just coming out, and you could
mm,
search for
mm.
things. But those
You
kids
Now,
had to
now
try
yeah,
it out.
are just
you
like
can watch
so
full
open
on
about
tutorials.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. There's like I just learned that recently from chat. I didn't know that yet. But like there's literally from like all the porn websites, for example, they have
Mm-hmm.
like TikTok kind of versions. So
Oh yeah, those shorts. I
short
saw
form
that. Like
videos.
how to wash your asshole, for example, for anal. That's so crazy to me. Back then
Exactly.
that wasn't the case. Like
No,
Exactly. Like that's the like I didn't know
you had
about
to
that.
fail over and over
I
again.
was literally
exactly.
I
It
was
was try
talking
and error.
exactly.
It was. It was. It
So
still is.
yeah, exactly those kind of things like short form content. Like not only can
Mm.
you watch like your normal porn in short versions now, which can be really handy sometimes, but you can literally search every kind of tutorial and you can get a 30-second video on how
Yeah.
to give a better blowjob, or I don't know, get yourself a freaking your asshole prepped for anal or whatever it is.
And
Yep.
imagine we would have that kind of
I was
resources. Like
afraid to
we
put that
don't.
into my browser back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
was like, if what if my mom would go to the family PC, and because back then if you
Yep.
would click into the Google bar, it would like drop down and you would see like the last searches.
The
I don't know if you
Oh
history.
yes,
remember
yes,
that.
yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
yes, yes, yes.
So then I would do this. And I would like Google
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, like I don't know,
Oh.
random, yeah, I'm a full on coomer.
Yeah, but I grew up like by trial and error, and I'm happy for the people today that have those resources
Yeah,
available,
for
like
sure.
that can Google about especially trans people,
Oh yeah,
about where to start. There are lists everywhere now where you can get help, for like free agencies and all of that stuff that help you for free because
Yeah.
but I wish I had that kind of
yeah.
support back then. Even with the change of now we get this new law taken. I think it's called. Wait, I always Selbstbestimmungsgesetz in Germany, which
Mm-hmm.
basically
Self
allows you
decision law. Mm.
uh, allows you to change your passport name and your gender in your passport
Ah.
without having to go to
The
without
hospital.
filing a lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't
because
know
that's
that.
that's
Wow.
what I had to do, right? That's what I had to do. I had
You had to
to
do a
file a lawsuit. Yeah,
lawsuit
I had to file a lawsuit.
against the
Um,
state
yeah, basically against the
that
state.
they
Like I had
misgendered you, or what is the?
no, 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 no. Basically, when you wanna change your passport and every official documents, you go to the uh
Yeah, to the
courthouse
public. Yeah, quarters. Yeah.
Yeah.
and basically file a lawsuit that you wanna have that changed in your official documents,
Oh
and you
wow.
have to pay for everything, and then they want you to get two Gutachten,
Yeah, from like
basically.
a therapist, you need the
Yeah, from
confirmation.
and sometimes even you cannot use your own therapist you already have. You have to get a random
A
one. They
state
give you a
one.
Mm-hmm.
list,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
something like
Mm.
this. And like it was so humiliating back then to like that old judge, he was very friendly, right? He was, but still, you have to open up to a very in a very weird space, to a very unknown person to you. You have to break down your trans CV, basically. You have to,
Mm.
when that started, when you take hormones and all of that shit. And that it was, for me, it was a very humiliating, and I'm so happy that this is
Of
gonna
course, it puts you
get
through the whole
changed.
trauma again and again and again.
Exactly, and then like for me, I never had trauma with it,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that, but like I can feel how humiliating and degrading it is for other trans people that are not as stable, I would say, as I was growing up, or as I am still.
Hmm.
And I think that we get this law changed is a very needed.
Mm. Didn't even know that's happening. I just saw that in Austria, you can. I learned it through Sasa Nita that you can actually change your last name when you're getting married.
Oh, really?
Like you
Mm-hmm.
can either make a new last name, like you can either take the name from your partner, you can combine your two
Mm,
last names to like a complete new one, or you
that's so
can make
cool.
up your own. So
Yeah.
you could be like, I don't know, Steffi Skywalker or
Start
whatever.
your own line. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
like
is so
you
cool.
literally can
Mm-hmm.
make up. Like I remember, I have a friend that his second name is kind of like a Künstlername. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
I can't say the name now because then people are gonna know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
mhm,
And I don't know if he wants that. So basically, his second name was like a kind of like a cool American, not really like a typical name, but like something that
mm,
sounded cool, right? And his parents wanted him to have that as a second name. So like his first name, then the made up name, and then the last name.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
And our government place, whatever, was like, no, that's not a real name. You had to bring proof that that name existed in some kind of
Crazy.
like form in like a
Mm,
book or like a movie, and like not just one but multiple ones. And I think nowadays you can, I think it doesn't matter, like if I would want to call my child, I don't know, Heimerdinger, I could probably, you know what I mean, like
Mm.
I think it depends, but also like I never had problems with my I'm very open about those things, right? My
mhm,
my male name was basically the male version of my name now. Like I'm John, right? And it
mhm.
was John.
Oh, I
The
didn't
French one,
know.
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
even
and that
know
was
your
because all of my brothers have French names,
mhm,
and everyone starts with a J. We
mhm.
have Jure, we have
Ah.
Jerome, we have Joel, and then we have me with John. And now I'm the female version of it because
John.
yeah, John, because
Oh, I love
I
it.
think that was that was the right choice to make,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not getting a complete new name. And I
It
think
just
that
needs to
name
feel
fits
right for you,
perfectly.
right?
Exactly, and it felt right for me
Did
to
I
to
show
use that
you?
name.
I think I showed you when I was playing World of Warcraft that my old World of Warcraft
Yeah, yeah,
characters were called
yeah.
Jan.
Well, yeah.
I really liked the Shandak, the anime back then.
Oh, with
Mm.
what was his name? Chiaki.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, Shandak, that's such a nice. Like, I didn't know the history.
yeah.
I just knew the anime when I was a child. I was like, oh yeah, forget about that French Revolution kind of stuff. Like, I don't care about it. But the anime was great, right? And so I called like a lot of my World of Warcraft characters. They were called Janden.
Yeah,
So
so that's
big fan of the name.
a lot of, like, I also never had that. That's why I have one of my tattoos. It's called Always and Forever, and I'm always thinking about making, like, getting another tattoo down, about below it, with my female name and my male name. Like many
Oh,
trans people have that some sort of disconnection with their male name, and for me it was always without John, or John. John would have
yeah.
never existed. Like
Yeah.
that is my personal opinion about it, because I never had a really negative way of seeing my male self. Um,
Mm.
but I know for a fact that so many other trans people have that, and so I'm very different in that kind of regards from the trans community, because I know that so many people have problems accepting that, or like for them it's like watching deleting that person that existed, and I don't.
Past.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
saw
And
I saw a lot of people calling it their dead or their old name is dead or their dead
yeah,
name.
their
I saw
dead
that a
name.
lot.
Yeah, or like. For example, I had a talk about this with a friend of mine, with Alice, who I talked about before,
Mhm.
and her opinion about it, she basically erased her male self, and all of her memories now she has it as a child are filled as Alice.
Aw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like all the memories she filled with her female self now and not with her male self. And that is also very interesting to me, because whenever I think about my past and my stuff that I remember, I always see it as a third person. Like I see my as if I was watching over my memories as a boy,
Mm,
It's I see
mm.
them as a third person, like this little boy right there. And I'm watching him as John. I'm watching John as John in my memories. That's my personal, my
Aw,
personal
that's
feeling
beautiful.
towards my male self.
That's really beautiful. And I think that's like also like obviously everybody needs to have their own way of looking at it and there's no right and wrong, but I think it's a really beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and everyone, and here's the thing, like there's no, as you say, a general sense of how you see your past self. And I think everyone, if you want to erase it, fine. That's up to you. If you had bad memories that you want to erase, that's totally fine. Everyone works things differently.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's totally fine like this. But then again, it brings us to the fight happening within the LGBTQ or trans community. Like, so many people have such strong opinions about their own opinion, that for other people it's so wrong to do that as a trans person,
Mm.
when you do it differently, and I think we should just uplift each other, like
Hmm.
regardless of what. I think that comes out, um as said earlier too. For me, like I had to learn, for me, like when I look at myself, I had to learn the last recent years that I will never be fully the woman we see on the commercial, but I can be only as authentically a woman myself if I like myself. And I think that is the most important part.
Yeah.
Like, love yourself,
Yeah.
and then you can like bloom into everything you want to be.
Aw, very beautifully said. And I think that was also a good note to end on, if I want to say so. Very,
Sure.
very, very nicely phrased, because I think we could sit here and talk like another 2 hours or listen to you for another two
Probably.
hours. Thank you so much for being part of this
I
podcast,
thank
Drew.
you,
I really
Ryan.
hope that we can have you on here soon again. I really enjoyed it.
Maybe.
Again, a quick reminder to the people that actually stuck around and listened to the super long episode. Again, we said it at the beginning. In our description box, you can find our what's it called, the anonymous
Telonym.
telonym, exactly, our telonym link. Thank you, Steffi. Where you can submit anonymous questions. So if you have any questions towards the topic of today, towards Jeanne or any of us, feel free to submit them. We're going to look through them. And if we get a nice catalog of questions together, or obviously if you're comfortable in asking those questions in the comments with your account public, you can do that as well. Whatever you prefer, leave the comments, and then we're probably going to see Drew again on the podcast. I really appreciated it having you here and taking the time.
Thank
I really,
you.
really enjoyed it. And yeah, guys, thank you so much. Steffi, is there anything you want to add?
Subscribe, guys. Follow us.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Also, I don't know, Drew. You wanna shout out
Oh yeah,
your
true. Also,
socials?
we're gonna
If you
put all of your
wanna,
socials.
though.
We're gonna put all your
I
socials in the
I
info box
think
if
the
you want
only
them.
social I have is Instagram.
Okay.
That is, or Twitter. That are the only things I have.
If you want, we can just put them in the info box.
Sure,
for
put
you.
it down.
Perfect. We're gonna put it down there. You can find Drew. Be nice to her. Otherwise, I'm gonna get you. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. We see you again next week on Monday. So thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.
Peace.